sustainable and healthy for the athletes.
Starting lineups for both sides. Ontario will run out Eric Voss, number 4, Michael Colonzo, number 6, number 22, Eric Rubizniks, number 19, Puisan Lai, as well as number 10, Lee Melmick. And on the Newfoundland side, we have number 3, Nick Power, number 5, Jeremy Jones, number 7, Danielle Arbor, number 10, Rebecca Green, who will switch out with Power for the jump, as well as number 23, Alex Wells. Tip goes the way of Ontario. Rubizniks around the outside loses the handle, but Jones called for the foul.
I like the way Ontario came out and they started with space, didn't go running into the defenders for Newfoundland. They're starting with space and reading their attacks out of that.
Pass in, Rubizniks tried to feed Colonzo, stolen away, too much traffic, and Mike gets caught with a hold as well.
Yeah, great job by Eric Voss to cut, move a defender. That opened up a gap for Michael Colonzo, and Michael Colonzo saw that gap. Just have to take care of the ball on that passing side.
Here's Rebecca Green controlling for Newfoundland, nearly gets it stolen away. Out of the reach from Danielle Arbor down low. And Ontario really making an effort here early on to trap those players in the backcourt and get that mismatch on offense. Shot up, no good. Arbor in a race with Voss to get it. Nice save by Eric, goes crashing into the Newfoundland bench.
Yeah, great hustle play by Eric Voss to save the possession.
Shot off there for Colonzo. Newfoundland will get to reset. Nick Power, the catalyst for this team, kind of runs the offense through him. Up top to Green. She looks around, has some space. Looked like she thought about the shot. Hits Arbor going in the lane. Danielle couldn't score, but good job getting that shot up with those two big arms coming across from Colonzo and Rubizniks on both sides.
Yeah, we saw Ontario start their defense really high up on the court, above the three-point line, and then they get to read to go under and maintain position and make it really difficult for that Newfoundland team to get their offense started.
Here's Lee Melmick, opposite end of the floor. Voss has an open lane, gets to the rim, can't get the drop. Here's Wells over to Power. Working with Green, has some space. And Green caught there as she tried to cut.
Nice ball pressure by Mike Colonzo right now. Denying movement by Nick Powers and getting some pressure on the ball.
You see there, Wells not ready in a shot clock violation. Nobody able to penetrate for Newfoundland.
Yeah, you can see Ontario's defense starting high and then quickly reading to go under and switch and readjust, and we're seeing the court, and it's really denying movement and position to the Newfoundland offense.
Here's Colonzo. Has open space there. Nice stop. Power with a strong contest. Lie underneath, grabs the board. And Wells comes over, nearly gets a steal, can't stay in bounds, but a good play.
And so now we're seeing the other aspect of the Ontario game plan. We're seeing those back picks in the open court, create space so that they can get to the rim. They just have to take care of the ball, be a little bit more disciplined.
Rubizniks over to Voss. Good motion from Ontario early on. Melmick's open. He'll take the shot. In and out. Another offensive board. There's Rubizniks. No. Newfoundland dodging some bullets here early on. Ontario 0 for 6 to start.
Yeah, they're just a little bit, they just need to, they're probably come out a little bit relaxed. They just need to focus a little bit more on offense.
Here goes Green. Behind her back. Looking back around. Power comes up for a pick. Arbor tries to chip in. Nothing. Shot clock way down.
Yeah, when you're watching Ontario, you can see starting high like that means that they don't have to jump out initially against shooters. They get to read to go under because those shooters are too far from the basket to be a threat. Then you can also see them readjusting their chairs after they've made those stops, and that puts them in position to stop the next cut.
And with that, Newfoundland really struggling to get into any kind of offense, and shot clock's running down on them. Here's Voss. Pump fake in. Melnick, backdoor cut open, blows the layup, though.
Nice read by Eric Voss. He read that it wasn't Eric Rubizniak that was open. He read the defender rotating and got it to Lee.
Lob pass, tried to get it up to Wells, no good. They did reset the shot clock there, so break for Newfoundland. Power. Trying to create some room. He's got a shot, and he knocks it down. Newfoundland takes the first lead of the game. And now 3-on-2. Newfoundland's players caught on the back picks, and Ontario can just play hot potato, pass it around. Rubizniks, they need it. No, 0 for 8 start. Even though the shots are wide open.
Yeah, it must be the baskets. We saw the same thing in the last game with Saskatchewan and then New Brunswick.
Green is sealed off. And they're going to get a foul on Jeremy Jones. Trying to get some space down the side, so that'll be Jeremy's second.
I think it might be a foul or a violation going out of bounds.
And a quick timeout here for Ontario, as everything's working but the ball going through.
Yeah, I think Coach Ludwig's going to be just kind of settling your team down, letting them know something similar to what we mentioned in the last game, that they're getting open. They have the time when they get in the key. They've got to take that extra second to take that breath, take that time to take a quality shot and not rush it.
And if you're Newfoundland now, what do you want to do to try to get any kind of motion going on offense?
It's going to be tough. This is an Ontario team that's got great speed across the board. One of the measures we use in our national program, we use a 20-meter sprint time. And when I look at Ontario out there right now, I think every single player pushes a sub 5.3 second 20-meter sprint. And in Michael Colonzo, you've got somebody he might be the fastest player in the country pushing a 4.58 sprint time. So that you've got a lot of speed you've got to go against. They're going to have to make sure they create space. They can't run into the Ontario defenders and slow themselves down and take away some of their reads. So they've got to, probably initially, they've got to create space. Here, they've got to pack it in a little bit and make Ontario shoot from outside.
Here's Melnick, will bring it forward. And you see Newfoundland's defensive strategy, I think, is trying to pack the paint and not give up anything easy, but freedom of motion there for Ontario around the outsides.
Yeah, you can see Newfoundland's really tight inside the key, really helping, stopping those cutters. Ontario is going to have to recognize that the top part of the key, the free throw line area, is going to be open for some short jumpers. And they've got a couple players in Liam Melnick and Eric Voss that can hit those short jumpers. That'll start to open things up a little bit.
Green looking top of the key. Power has some space in the paint. The help collapses on him, but he's able to get it up and in.
Yeah, he had a little bit more space. He didn't run into the defense. He gave himself that space, stopped short, and read the defenders as they rotated.
Here goes Colonzo now, down 4-zip. Voss inside, draws the foul and one, and that's what they need to get them going.
So what's going to have to happen now with Ontario, when they go back and set up defense, if Newfoundland's going to stop short and get that space, Ontario's going to have to come out and meet them and take that space away to make it difficult for them to move. If they, guys like Nick Powers and Rebecca Green stop short, get space to read the court, then they're going to be able to capitalize and create some scoring opportunities.
Rebound goes off Rebecca's hand, so Ontario will have another possession. Quick reset to 14. Rubizniks loses it. Danielle Arbor's in there. Clock down to 3. Good swipe by Green. And even though Newfoundland gave up that offensive rebound, great recovery on defense to not give up a second shot.
Yeah, they're staying tight. They're showing a lot of discipline to stay inside tight.
Yeah.
Ontario needs to read that. They can't be, methodical and rote in the way they move the ball around. They've got to read the defense and see what opportunities are opening up.
Now you see Ontario going to put on some full court pressure here. Ontario's going to get it back. Not sure if there was a violation there or what, but. He will get a reset. Melnick at the elbow, drains it.
And there's that free throw jumper that's going to open up if Newfoundland's going to pack it in, and Ontario needs to recognize that, and Lee Melnick won't be shy to take that shot.
Tied up at 4s now. Like you said, that Ontario defense up, really extended up high. Green hits the deck.
So Ontario's recognizing it on ball to come in close space, but they're going to have to also do that off ball if those offensive players from Newfoundland stop short and create space.
Power will inbound. They give it up top. Number 47, Alex Kennedy. Over to Green. She has Melnick on her. One-on-one on the side. And ends up losing the ball out of bounds. We'll go to Ontario.
Yeah, Ontario just starting to come up and meet the Newfoundland chairs. Just put a little bit more pressure on them. Make it a little bit more difficult for them to move.
Good active hands there by Danielle Arbor. Pest in the backcourt.
Yeah, Eric Voss a little bit careless. Needs to keep space so he can pass the ball, handle the ball without pressure.
Jones comes up to meet him. Or excuse me, Power comes up to meet him. Voss has room now. Lai off the pick. She gets a moving layup. No good.
Yeah, great pick by Poussin. Took her time rolling to the basket. Just needs to follow through.
Here comes Green. Calls out some instructions. A little bit of cross motion now from Newfoundland, trying to free themselves up. But
you can see Ontario anticipating and readjusting their chairs to take away that movement.
Power gets taken down. He'll get himself back up. And they'll get it out of bounds. There's only 4 on the shot clock, so you need to try to get somebody moving towards the rim. Kennedy has to shoot. A one-hand heave.
Oh, my goodness.
The answered prayer.
Yeah, I think Coach Hickey for Newfoundland's just ecstatic that they can generate that.
They take the lead 6-4. Here's Rubiznik. Scott Jones behind him. Voss works on Kennedy, just throws that one up. Looks like he was trying to draw the foul there, but no call.
Yeah, the defense is going to play that tight. Don't push up and push into the defense. Take those short jumpers. Sometimes that's a difficult thing to do for younger players, is to settle for that.
And Arbor loses control. They're going to take it the other way. And quick timeout here. So great, about as ideal of a start for Newfoundland as you could have asked for.
Yeah, this is great. And I like the adjustment that Newfoundland made. They recognized that they were giving up some looks, some space, and they collapsed back in. They packed it. They're in really tight. I mean, they basically have 5 players in the paint, and in the paint a lot. So the gaps aren't there for Ontario. Ontario's going to have to recognize they've got little 10 to 15-foot jumpers that are open at the free throw line. They're going to have to change some of their offensive reads and get out of some of the movement that they were doing and put somebody up high to begin to pull those defenders out for Newfoundland. That'll open up those gaps again, and then we'll be able to get back to the rim. But it's going to start with taking some of those short jumpers to begin with.
Do you feel like almost because Ontario is such a favorite coming into this one, they're playing a little too passively, trying not to take the bull by the horns early?
Yeah, sometimes that happens with teams. They get out there and they don't read the court and think the game quite as much because they're playing with an opponent they feel that they're going to be able to beat easily.
Right.
And that gets them away from their game and the things that made them successful before.
Newfoundland packs the paint once again here. Lai knocked off her mark. Rubizniks back to Voss. Fumbled that handoff. There's Lai open on the cut. Good help by Arbor there. Late contest, and it works.
Yeah, Ontario's moving the ball around the perimeter. That's designed to get the defense rotating, but if the defense is packed in, they're not going to rotate. Now we're seeing that Ontario pressure up court.
And like you saw, that Arbor stopped in her tracks. No one able to get a release down to the other end.
Yeah, I think Coach Ludwig's using this to try to get her team going, get them moving, get them playing harder, give them a bit of a gap where they can start to get executed the way they want.
Kennedy taken out by Colonzo. It's getting a little chippy over there.
I like how even during this dead ball right now, you can see the Ontario player, Lee Melimack, trying to set picks. They're still trying to work. That's one of the things that's a little bit different in wheelchair basketball than in stand-up basketball, that during these dead ball possessions, you can capture position against another team and maintain that position through this dead ball. You want to keep playing even when the whistle is blowing.
You see, after Colonzo helps Alex Kennedy up, absolutely seals him out of the play. And Lai not looking for that pass. Kennedy up court, tipped and stolen. Colonzo, nice change of direction there. Gets into the paint, gonna pull that one off the front of the rim. Offensive board, Rubizniks. No, he can't get his shot to drop. There it is now.
Took his time on that second one. You could see his follow through. You could see he's a little bit more focused. Now we can see that pressure by Ontario, and this is gonna be one of the things we're gonna watch on them as the tournament goes on.
Unfortunate there, Kennedy goes over the line, so an inbounds violation. Voss makes the catch, has a ton of space. He'll shoot and score.
Yeah, Eric Voss has the short jumper that Ontario's going to need to begin to capitalize on what Newfoundland's willing to give up.
There's Kennedy, and now if you can get Arbor on the cut, nice press break there. She barely gets it over half. There it is now. But no help for Nick Power.
So what the officials will do when people are watching at home, if they're not that familiar with wheelchair basketball, if a player gets knocked down on the court, the officials will allow the play to keep going. They'll only blow the whistle if they think that, one, that player's in danger, like somebody would turn and attack that way, or two, if the offense turns back and goes and pulls out from their attack.
And a quick pass in the backcourt. Kennedy didn't wait in time. It'll end up being a backcourt violation. So Ontario will get the ball back. Colonzo sealing off the top. Voss inside. Rubizniks, nice catch moving into the paint, and he draws a foul.
And there we can see one of the things that Ontario is going to want to do. If Newfoundland's going to pack it in tight, then Ontario has to set picks in transition, and that'll take defenders out of that tight defense and open up some of the gaps. So one of the ways that Ontario can get to the rim when a team plays really, really tight is they can set back picks and open up a little bit more space.
Danielle will get a break. They'll bring in number 11, Nick Arnold. Rubiznik's first shot, no good. Eric's second one from the free throw line. Off the left of the rim. So now we'll see if Newfoundland can get it over half, break this press. Rebecca close to getting caught out of bounds. She stops herself, needs help. Heave down to Kennedy, can't make the catch. Will be Ontario basketball.
And you could see some of the Newfoundland players going up court, pushing blind to the ball. So they didn't look back and see that they needed to push back and be a post.
And Mike Colonzo going to pick up his second there. That one goes out of bounds. It'll go back to Ontario. Aaron McDonald checking in for Ontario, taking the place of Mike Colonzo with those 2 fouls. Melnick. Top McDonald. Now they get some cross motion going here.
Yeah, they're passing the ball up, but they're not really trying to penetrate with it.
Rubizniks floats into the paint, gets the and one finish.
So as Ontario moves the ball around the top, if Newfoundland's not shifting, that ball movement's not causing the defensive rotations that will create those openings. So Ontario needs to read that they need to attack at the elbows. You saw Nick Power extend a little bit. The gaps are at the elbows again.
It almost feels like Ontario with this offense they're running right now just trying to see what will break that Newfoundland defense from packing the paint and try to force people to come outside.
Yeah, they're just hoping somebody has a lapse right now. And they need to make an adjustment here. They're going to get those gaps and those openings.
They give it to Kennedy. Somebody needs to try to get a release, but Ontario doing a great job of sealing everyone off. And it's just bailout passes now, but a pick again by Melnick. Inside Rubizniks, through traffic once again. Not good there. Green grabs the board. And that'll end the first quarter. So Newfoundland jumped out to the lead with Ontario's shooting struggles, but once the Ontario defense really picked up the pressure, they take control and lead 11-6 after one.
Yeah, what Newfoundland's going to have to do is that moment the ball's in the air, some of the Newfoundland players are going to have to break and begin to create space in the open court in anticipation of the up-court Ontario pressure. That'll get them a little bit of space, and then they're going to have to come back to the ball and be post for the ball to move the ball up the court by passing. They will not beat Ontario trying to dribble the ball up the court against this pressure.
Now, with Ontario's advantage in athleticism, what can you do as a lesser athletic player to try to free yourself up when you're inbounding the ball and trying to get up court?
You know, it's a simple thing. What they've got to do is the players from Newfoundland, they have to pull back from the Ontario contact. They have to create space. Then they need to fake and just use that space to their advantage. They can get the space they need. They can get the angles they need for picks and for cuts. But it takes a lot of discipline to back up sometimes. It's counterintuitive for most young players that the way to attack is sometimes to back up.
Right.
But that's what the players from Newfoundland are going to have to do to create that space to be able to go up against this up-court pressure from Ontario, as well as anticipate a little bit better and then come back to the ball.
We'll see what they do coming out here in the second. It looks like some subs coming in for Ontario as well. Adel Ahmed, who had a great game yesterday, really active defensively. I liked his effort on both ends. Yeah,
Adel's a really aggressive player and a really, really smart player, and doesn't back down from anybody.
No, he was matched up against some much bigger players yesterday and took it right to them.
A little bit of confusion right now from the players from Newfoundland as to where they're trying to go.
Going. Arbor trapped. She's going to have to try to heave it, and with Rubizniks on her, that's impossible. And a steal there. Layup can't go. Ahmed collects it. Back to Rubizniks. What a spin from Melnick there. And McDonald, who's got the height advantage over almost every player out here, can get a clean look no matter what underneath.
Yeah, Aaron might have the best nickname out of the various players that got playing here. His nickname is Matchstick. It's tall, skinny, and with red hair like that, I think Matchstick's a great fit.
Bit of a fiery personality, too, so I feel like it does work on all efforts. Voss dumps it inside. Rubizniks reaches over, tipped away by Power.
We saw a nice little crossing cut from Eric Rubizniks, and that got Aaron McDonald in the key as well. So they've got to see offside and see both players on those cuts.
Here's Melmick looking around. Voss, no contest. He'll shoot. That's off. Wells grabs the board. And now Newfoundland's got to go. He's got power on a release. Can anyone get the ball to him? Not quite. Green will heave it. And Melmick's right there. Melmick, easy stop, settles himself, makes it.
Yeah, that's one of the things that you see a lot of times. See young players, they'll drive right into the contact. I really like the way Lee slowed himself up, took the shot with no contact in space.
McDonald gets another steal off the inbounds. Rubiznik puts it up and through. And a quick timeout as Newfoundland's got to devise a way to try to get the ball inbounds and get it across half court.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. You've got so much speed and athleticism on this Ontario team. If the players from Newfoundland don't anticipate, and if they don't create space and then come back to the ball, they're going to continue to have problems working against this Ontario pressure. And Ontario, to their credit, they're coming up and they're meeting the players, chairs from Newfoundland, and they're making contact with them and making it difficult to move.
And in a game like this, if you're Ontario, is it something where you can really experiment with how aggressive your defense can get? Because you got the opportunity to really press and attack.
Yeah, one of the cautions you have with Ontario is they're using this to really create that gap in the game, and they should. But they don't want to lose sight of the fact that they are having some struggles on offense scoring, and their defense is going to generate transition opportunities. Yeah. They don't want to get tricked into thinking that they've done a great offensive performance if their half-court offense isn't generating them. They think that just points means that they've had a great offensive effort. Really, it's come from their defense.
Yeah,
that's a strength of theirs. They want to keep that. But they still got to work on their half-court offense and generate good scoring opportunities and finish.
So we see here, battle for positioning. Open is number 5, Jeremy Jones in the middle of the court. Now can they get it up and over? Green's his outlet. She gets past her guy. And they'll call a foul here.
So Jeremy pushed to open space, and then he came back to the ball to get it. And those are the kinds of things they have to do more consistently if you're the team from Newfoundland.
Little confusion there. I think Newfoundland thought the foul was on them. They get it down the wing to Green. So now Newfoundland finally with a half-court possession. Knocked away, stays Newfie ball. Green inside. Nice hands by McDonald to tip it away.
Yeah, he got lucky. He got beat back door by Rebecca Green. Got a little bit sloppy. She had space. She cut on his back. And the pass was just a little bit short.
Arbor picks up a foul. Her second of this one. Voss into McDonald. Big guy makes the catch. Extra lean, no good. Rebounded by Rebecca. There's the pass to Power. Wasn't quite ready for it. Melmick, the trailer, comes in open. He's got McDonald, who also wasn't ready. Both teams trade some turnovers. Green cut off. They need one more pass. Not going to get it.
You can really see how the Ontario players are taking that extra push and stopping the players from Newfoundland with their press.
Voss dumps it into McDonald. Reaches up over everyone. Can't finish. Here's Green. She's got some space to work. Looking for help. And there's the 8-second call.
Yeah, you could see the team from Newfoundland got space that time, but then their players didn't post back to the ball, come back to help out, and that's the piece that's missing as well. That's the piece they need to add against this pressure. Everybody has to help bring the ball up.
Melnick back to Voss. Weaves inside, takes a hit, no call. Arbor with the rebound. And a reach called there on Eric Robiznik's coming in late.
So that's one of those ones we saw Lee Melnick take that short jumper, like a little 8-foot jumper. Eric Voss could have done the same thing there. He's trying to drive in, trying to draw the foul, and he's putting the call in the official's hands. He doesn't control that.
Arbor to Green, tough catch, goes off her wheel. And now Voss has Ahmed wide open underneath, can't get it to drop. The offensive rebound blocked from behind, but they get it for a foul.
Yeah, Adele with a nice pick to roll to the basket.
That was a tough one because that was all ball. But when you come in from behind the ref, tough angle.
Yeah, one of the challenges with young players is understanding that you don't always block the top of the ball. In wheelchair basketball, a lot of times what you do is you tip the underside of the ball when a player brings it down, and that's just as effective.
First free throw is off. The second one is off as well. Green grabs the board. Stripped right from behind by McDonald. And you never want to put the ball behind your head, especially when you're in traffic like that.
You can see Ontario's really creating their offense out of their defense.
And there it is to Wells. Can he catch up? Not quite. Now, when you mentioned they are using this press to kind of get that gap up and secure the lead, when do they go back to working on half-court sets? Because I think you do need to start working on that and get it in gear.
Yeah, you're gonna have to watch to see if everything starts to click out of their press, and then it's gonna take some discipline, and it's really gonna happen when you think you've got the gap that gives you that breathing room.
And they give an offensive foul there. No basket. Oh, they are gonna count it, and then a push after.
You can see Newfoundland's got space now. Now they have to come back to the ball, and they'll need multiple people to help bring the ball up.
Get it to Green. She's over. Just lost it on the spin. Recovers in time. Stays in bounds. Or not quite.
Just nicked the sideline there. But again, you see that contact that makes it difficult for the offense to move. And so Ontario's doing a good job with their pressure to make contact with the players from Newfoundland and prevent them from moving where they want to go.
Get a reset on the clock.
You can see the Ontario players working during the dead ball to get these back picks to create that space and that tight defense from Newfoundland.
And now Power sealed off by Voss and McDonald. They're really targeting him. That gets Robiznik's open. He's got lots of room to work. Top to Melnick. Go to the right side. And the speed in which the Ontario players move on offense, really pretty to watch. Green nearly gets the steal, but Robiznik recovers and gets the layup.
Yeah, great steal by Adele Ahmed on the offside to get Eric Robiznik in the key.
Pass up to Power off his foot. Voss with the recovery into Robiznik once again. Draws the foul and one.
There's that defensive pressure creating that turnover, and then the defense isn't prepared to defend out of that, and that's where those gaps going to the rim open up.
Rebecca picks up her third foul on that one. Free throw in and out. And a jump here off the miss.
Yeah, they're saying both players got into the key too early. So lane violation.
And the possession arrow favors Newfoundland. Ontario finally pulls off that press, so. Or maybe not. A little confusion here as to who should possess it coming out of the break.
I think that they're arguing right now that the team from Newfoundland has too many points on the court in the classification system, a team balance rule.
Would that have been before the violation or after with the sub?
I think they're trying to discuss what would happen.
So would that'll count as the technical foul, and they'll get a free throw out of it.
They'll get a free throw out of it, and then the ball will come back in as at the point of interruption. And so then on the jump ball, Newfoundland will get the ball back. So each player on the court is awarded a certain number of points based off of their muscle function. 4.5 being the high, 4.5 being the highest number of points, down to a 1. And you're only allowed to have cumulatively 14 points amongst all the players, 5 players on the court.
Ontario up 23-6. Just over 5 minutes left in the first half. Alex Wells open underneath. He's got a matchup, waits for it, can't get it to drop.
I like how he took his time to try to take a quality shot, though.
Ahmed's open, can't handle it, recovers. Spins inside, trying to weave off defenders. Really shifty move to get in the paint. Can't get it to drop. McDonald's offensive rebound, short. Batted around, and Arbor was down in the backcourt. Danielle will strap herself back in.
Yeah, again, this is one of the differences in between stand-up and wheelchair basketball. You see Eric Voss from Ontario, during the dead ball, come out to set a pick to create a transition opportunity, a 5-on-4 advantage.
Rubiznik's in the paint is blocked. Here goes Nick Power now into the front court. Green on McDonald, tough catch. He steals it. McDonald over to Ahmed, transition, rush that a bit. Gets it back, settles, scores.
So these are the spots where Ontario has to stay focused and stay disciplined to execute, to remind themselves to keep space to pick in the open court.
Green looking around, finds cutting Nick Power. Sealed off on the block. McDonald came in at the last second for help, couldn't shoot. Green will let it go. She has one fall in and out. Long pass over to Melnick, that's off his hand out of bounds. Alex Kennedy set to check in for Newfoundland. He'll give Alex Wells a break. There's Power, nice cut. Voss got beat, and Nick draws the foul.
Yeah, nice space there by Newfoundland. Nick Powers didn't push into the defense. He paused for a moment. He let his teammate attack first. That created that gap, and all Nick Powers did was a facing cut. He just faked on the front of the player and attacked the back of the Ontario player, Eric Voss.
Powers' first free throw looks good. Drains it. Adel Ahmed will weave through on offense. Down low, McDonald. Another strong catch, fading away, and he's going to get it to drop and one.
And a nice little fadeaway by Aaron McDonald. Pushed hard to get up court to get that spot on the low block. Adel Ahmed did a great job keeping his head up in the dribble to see his teammate get open and get him the ball.
McDonald's free throw. No good. Rebound tipped. Newfoundland controls, trying to get their offense in flow. Spin around, Arbor trying to help out with a pick. Cutting Alex Kennedy, gets it tipped, and a late foul called. Here is Kennedy's first free throw. Gets it to roll in. Nice finish. Second one goes up. Off backboard, too hard. Colonzo finally back in after a spell on the break, and he shows his speed right there. You mentioned one of the fastest players in the country, and he showed it on there coast to coast.
Yeah, and nice little left-handed layup by Michael. I know Michael's a right-handed shooter, but going to his left hand, doing those little fundamental things.
Really quick move down the wing. Green waiting for Arbor. Also Power comes over. 5 on the clock. She's going to have to launch from downtown. No good.
Some tiny little things. You saw the players from Newfoundland just pushing into the defensive players for Ontario, making contact and not functioning with space, operating with space on offense. There's those back picks by Ontario. Open up some gaps in the Newfoundland defense.
Ahmed's shot no good. Power rolling through, bumped. Green on a cut, nice move, and she gets the finish.
Yeah, Adela Ahmed had his chair on Rebecca Green after the cut, after he stopped her. Then he rotated off, turned his back. She cut on his back. Yeah, one of the things is Ontario's getting these back picks in the open court and they attack up space. Different than stand-up basketball. They don't want to just stay in spots and create space. They want to pick out of that transition opportunity to get to the rim.
Another reset. Melnick on the baseline. That one's easy.
Now let's see if the players from Newfoundland can keep space as they go to attack.
Colonzo comes up high, try to force another turnover. Jeremy Jones got knocked out of bounds. Shot clock under 10. Green posted up at the elbow, give and go with Power. And he goes flying into Eric Voss right there.
Yeah, that's a great example of not having space right there.
Voss sealed off the lane as he tried to go to the rim.
Yeah, I think Nick Powers thought there was a little bit of a gap there, and it got closed really fast.
Colonzo on the right side has Ahmed, beautifully executed cut. High off glass, no good. Tipped. McDonald underneath, gets it to go.
Yeah, there was one of those picks in the open court that we talked about, and one of those picks in transition when you already have players out, and that creates scoring opportunities going to the rim. Nice pick by Adel Ahmed.
There's Alex Kennedy looking around. He's hit and fouled. And that's going to be on Ahmed. A little over-aggressive there on his pursuit.
Yeah, he's trying to close space as Alex Kennedy tried to open up space between him. He quickly closed it a little bit too aggressive, but that's what he's got to do to prevent the players from Newfoundland from getting space and being able to operate on offense. Every now and then he's going to pick up one of those kinds of aggressive fouls, but that's okay. That's why you get 5.
And number 33 for Newfoundland, Jared Griffiths, will check in for the first time. He'll give Rebecca Green a break before halftime. Kennedy's first free throw, no good. Second one is up and good. Here goes Colonzo with speed, pulls back. Voss into the paint, takes a hit. He'll go to the free throw line. And Griffiths right into the game. They go right at him on his first defensive possession.
Yeah, again, this is one of those spots where taking that short jumper is a little bit better read instead of relying on that call. So we've seen that call not happen and result in a miss by the offensive players.
Voss makes good on the first attempt. And he puts the second one up. Under 20 seconds left in the first half. Ontario up 35-11. Kennedy's pass shoved right back in his face. Here's Power, 7 on the clock. And it's going to be an offensive foul.
Yeah, one of the things you can see that we've seen this consistently. There have been a number of times when players have picked up offensive fouls throughout the tournament so far where they haven't set picks properly. They're trying to use their foot plates to set picks, and they get there a little bit late, and the result is an offensive foul and a turnover.
McDonald's open, quick bucket.
I really like how Aaron McDonald takes his time on all of his shots. He's getting some really good looks. He's starting to finish on them, but he finishes because he takes that extra second.
So the first half comes to a close. Ontario leading 37-11. Any final thoughts on that first half?
I think for Ontario, they're doing some nice things on defense. They're starting to come out and meet the chairs from the players from Newfoundland. They're still struggling inside the half court. Even though they've put up 37 points on the board, they've had other opportunities, and their offense was a little bit stagnant in the half court. That's something they're going to want to address at halftime, how they read what the players from Newfoundland are giving them a little bit better. On the other side, if you're Newfoundland, when that press is up on them, and I don't think we'll see it again, but if it was, creating space and coming back to the ball, when they're attacking in the half court, they want to keep space and not be as aggressive running into the Ontario chairs. Their defense inside that half court when they're playing tight like that, that's been pretty successful in creating some problems for Ontario, so they want to stay with that.
We'll be back with the second half in just a few minutes. We are back for the second half. Game 2, Day 2. Wheelchair basketball tournament here at the Canada Games. Ontario leading 37-11, but despite their big lead, Frog, they didn't really play a flawless half. There's definitely stuff to improve on.
A lot of things to improve on from the offensive standpoint. They shot 37% in the first half. They had some great scoring opportunities. They rushed them. I thought their offense was a little bit stagnant and a little bit rote, and they weren't reading some of the opportunities they had. They have to make some slight adjustments there. And Newfoundland did a great job packing it in and really trying to limit Ontario, where they struggled. 27 turnovers in the first half. That's going to hurt any team, and that was largely due to the upcourt pressure by Ontario.
So we will see here a couple players for Ontario entering the game for the first time. Number 0, Vanessa Giancaterini, as well as number 83, Zoe Hahn, getting their first minutes this afternoon. Some new players in for Newfoundland as well. We got number 17, Stephanie Evans, checking in with Nick Arnold alongside Power, Green, and Arbor. Rubiznik's maneuvers his way down to the hash mark. Can't get it, and a big collision. Both fighting for that rebound as Colonzo and Power go down.
That's Nick Power's foul. I think that's his 4th foul.
Yeah, he got caught on some tough ones in the first half. They are going to give it to him. You were right. So Nick got to play careful here. Colonzo's first free throw is up and good.
Yeah, Michael Colonzo came into the program as a fast player. He's gotten faster. Where he's really worked, though, has been on his offensive on-ball skills. We saw that with that drive to the basket in the first half. Now we'll start to see it hopefully a bit in the second half.
Well, and you see, too, he's got one of the biggest upper bodies of the guys out here. So strong, that's got to be helping his offensive game.
Yeah, he has a great power-to-weight ratio. There's just functional muscle on him that really helps him move that chair so well.
Here's Rubiznik's up top. Gets a cut from Giancaterini. Vanessa working inside. They try to run the back cut. It's sealed off. And he'll just end up taking the shot and scoring.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that movement outside the perimeter of the Newfoundland defense that doesn't move towards the basket. And what Ontario has to see is that movement towards it. That movement opens up a gap, and then they've got to hit those gaps and go to the basket.
Power going to release with his left hand. No good. And here comes Colonzo. 1-on-2. And Green there got beat, but unlucky miss for Mike.
Yeah, Rebecca has to start pushing earlier if she's going to meet him and deny that cut to the basket.
Over to Nick Power, inside Arbor, nice cut. Can she get it up? She draws a foul. And they're going to give Zoe Hahn a late foul on that.
Yeah, Zoe got caught turning her chair, ball watching, and then Danielle Arbor cut on her back. You can't lose sight of your matchups. You constantly have to be checking your shoulders in wheelchair basketball.
Arbor off on the first. Gets that start to the next one. Can't quite get it there. Inbound goes to Aaron McDonald. And now you hear Danielle Arbor say, watch the trailer, after Colonzo picked her off in the backcourt, and he ends up getting a shot. No good.
Yeah, so you saw the Ontario players did a great job getting the back picks, but then they saw them sit in spots as they attacked upcourt in transition. And what they need to do out of those spots is read the backs of the players from Newfoundland and set picks. because now they're free to set picks. That's what will get them to the rim. Otherwise, they end up with outside jumpers in transition. You've got a man wide open or a player wide open. You should be able to generate a layup. Here we have it again. That back pick up high by Michael Colonzo.
Taking Stephanie Evans totally out of the play. And now he's got that release in. And then reversing it, McDonald, a little half spin offside, can't get it. Rebecca Green, nobody awake on the Ontario D, and she has the layup off the backdoor cut.
Yeah, she saw the edge, and she beat the Ontario player on the edge, and there's no help when you get beat on the edge or on the baseline.
Here is Rubizniks, and a lot more of the motion up top now, you see.
Oh, there's the penetration by Eric Rubizniks.
It pays off.
And instead of just going around the outside edge back and forth, he saw the gap and he hit the gap, and that's what they have to continue to do. So they have to identify those gaps opening up and then attack them, either with a cut or a pick.
Nick Arnold was knocked over there, gets himself back up.
Yeah, he kind of misjudged the width of his wheelchair and the gap that he had to go through there.
And a timeout here for Newfoundland to set up an offensive plan.
I like the way the coach from Newfoundland, Coach Hickey, has used his timeouts to bring his players in, teach in those moments, make some small adjustments. That's what you want to do with a younger team that's developing, a younger program that's developing. It's not lose sight of these opportunities and to continue to use each possession, each opportunity in the game to teach out of it so you can grow your program. He's got some young players here that are going to learn, and they're going to be back in 4 years for the next Canada Games. But they won't grow as players if you don't use these opportunities to teach now.
Well, I think we've even seen from yesterday afternoon where even though the turnovers might still be a high number at 27, they did seem to get, after a few trials, get that thing more in flow and create some more space for themselves.
Yeah, when they've had a chance to compete inside the 3-point line, play in the half court, where the athleticism of Ontario hasn't been as big a factor, they've moved around, and you can see them trying to do some things, trying to learn and grow, and that's to their benefit in the long run, is to continue to grow out of those opportunities.
Power met up top. Here comes Arbor to help. They go back with Green. She's got no time left. And I think that's one thing they definitely can work on in the half-court offense is in those short shot clock scenarios, having a more defined plan of what they want to do.
Yeah, they're getting caught kind of sitting watching the ball. And what they really need to do is it's the defense tells you what to do when you're on offense. They tell you the reads. So you have to read the defense. Your teammates then coordinate things by communicating with you.
Here goes Zoe Hahn. Inside McDonald. Didn't want that shot. They kick it back out. Hahn from the free throw line. She'll let it go. Too strong. Power looking around to try to get Green on that back cut. She gets there, composes, and scores.
So when Newfoundland gets space now, they're starting to recognize how they can attack by cuts first and foremost.
And there's Houthi down the floor, and in transition can't finish. Settles for McDonald. Nobody back. Another miss, and in the backcourt it'll stay as Danielle Arbor was down in the backcourt. So they'll reset for Ontario here.
One of the things I've been really impressed with is the sportsmanship amongst all the players. You saw the Ontario player just help player from Newfoundland up.
McDonald finishes on the inside.
It shows you can compete hard and still get along with the other players, still recognize and respect them.
And I think you've seen that from every team across the board through a day and a half of competition so far. Everyone respects and enjoys competition out here. Power. Guy behind him. Nice ball fake and finish.
And so we've now seen a couple of possessions now where Ontario's been back. Newfoundland's recognized that space, and they've been able to attack the gaps either with a cut or a pick.
Colonzo flies by everybody. Arbor gets the hit in on him, and he'll go to the free throw line. And Danielle picks up her 4th foul.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of players for the team from Newfoundland right now with 4 fouls.
2 of their leaders as well, with Nick Power and Danielle Arbor both having the 4. Second free throw is good, 45-17. Half the 3rd quarter left. Power couldn't make that cut that Green had anticipated.
Yeah, that time the Ontario defender came out to meet his chair, so he didn't get the space to move that he had on that last cut that got him closer to the basket. So those little jumps by Ontario, even though they're starting their defense increasingly farther back and farther back, they still have to remember to make contact with the players from Newfoundland when they're guarding them.
Dump off inside, Colonzo underneath. No good. Green tips it. Rebound controlled by Newfoundland. Here goes Green. She's flying up the right side. Colonzo seals her off. And offensive foul is, looked like it was Nick Arnold who lost control there going into the paint. And they'll send it the other way.
Yeah, reading when you don't have the space to set that pick and not going into that gap, having the discipline to stop short and let another teammate attack. That's something young players have to learn.
Cross court to McDonald, weaving in. Hoti inside, can't finish. Colonzo, offensive board, nope, tipped. Will go the other way. Now they stack one side of the floor here. Try to bring Kennedy up over 2 picks. 8 on the shot clock. Green will let it go. No good.
Yeah, I think that's a miscue on the part of the players from Newfoundland, getting all their players on one side and taking away the space that they needed.
McDonald on the break gets the finish. Back across the court to Power. Colonzo jumps the pass. Scramble for it. Hothy nearly keeps it in bounds. Just 6 on the clock, so we'll see what Newfoundland does. Oh, they do give him a reset. Oh, we'll go back to 6. I'm going to say, it didn't look like a full change of possession.
No, it didn't look like Meninder got possession of the ball on that attempted save.
Kennedy lining it up, short.
Here's that back pick. Let's see if Ontario can get a pick in transition.
And they will give Stephanie Evans a foul there. Her first one. Holte battling through. I was going to say, if you don't give him a foul on that one.
Well, you see Maninder, he started back from Alex Kennedy, and he had space, and then what he did is he just did a simple cut again. Pushed straight at Alex. Alex had no reason to move because Maninder's pushing straight at him. Then he put his fake in and beat him on the baseline. That's one of the drawbacks of playing that tight zone defense like Newfoundland is right now, is that their defenders are stationary, not moving, and they're easier to cut on if you can take the time to create that space.
Second shot from Manny. Drains it. Green stops, uses the pick, and scores. She's really had a better offensive performance than yesterday, knocking down these shots.
Yeah, she's. You can see she's taking her shot, taking a quality shot in a quality way. Good mechanics, taking that breath.
Here's Zoe Hahn. Clonzo is open. Can't hit it. Kennedy the board.
Yeah, Ontario's struggling to create a second pick when they have that back pick opportunity and get somebody to the rim, and they're ending up settling for outside shots a little bit too often in those moments.
Nice pass down low to Kennedy, can't finish. A good transition here, getting back for Newfoundland. So Ontario had the advantage. McDonald ends up settling, and it'll spin out. Powers slowing down, looking around. Pulls from deep, no good. McDonald wanted to launch that outlet.
Yeah, Michael Colonzo was deep, but he didn't quite get the space he needed for that cut to open up that outlet pass.
Holte fumbles with it. He was open at the elbow, but Colonzo had the positioning on Danielle Arbor. He can't finish. Battle for the loose ball.
Yeah, Ontario's struggling to finish right now. You saw that short jumper. Michael did a good job setting his back pick. Rolled in, didn't roll into Nick Powers on defense. The player from Newfoundland took the short jumper, just couldn't finish.
Green reverses. It's behind her back to free up some space. Power coming up. Gets to the elbow. Has the mismatch on Giancaterini. And a foul called on Vanessa for that push. Pass to Green on the baseline. She's taking a dribble. And Holyfield gets all ball. Smothered her on that.
Yeah, aggressively attacking the ball, going out, meeting her chair, and then reaching and contesting the ball.
Really strong closeout as Ontario moves the other way. Hahn's open on the opposite end of the floor. It's tipped. She'll put it up. No good. Tip back. Kennedy reaching on the ground. He's got it.
You can see the players from Newfoundland getting an opportunity to move around a little bit more.
Down low, Kennedy catches, no good. Gets his own rebound, stays in bounds, but no time left on that shot clock.
Yeah, they're going to reset it.
Give it. Yeah, it looked like it did hit the rim.
Yep.
Green, catch and shoot. No good. And Colonzo gets out now. He's got space. And one. Oh, no, they're going to give him an op. Yeah, they are going to give it an and one finish.
That's 5 fouls on Nick Powers. That's one of those ones where Nick, as that player's accelerating and going past him, what younger players need to do is realize they don't have position and be willing to pull away from that offensive player going to the basket. And it's so tough for young players to let that offensive player go to the hoop and just fake like you're going to go into him, but pull away at the last minute and be in position for an offensive rebound.
So Nick will not get a chance to play in the fourth quarter today.
That's going to be tough. He was the anchor in the middle of their defense, and he was there to help rotate over and stop some of those cuts and contest some of those Ontario players when they would get inside. So that's going to be difficult as Newfoundland moves forward to see who can take that role on in the middle of their defense and be that help defender.
And what this does provide, at least for some of the younger Newfoundland players, is a chance to step up here going against Ontario in the fourth quarter and say, hey, I can also be kind of a valuable player for this team moving forward.
Yeah, it certainly does. It certainly does. And they've got to embrace that opportunity, not back off from it. Mm-hmm. And they've got to recognize that it's okay if they make a couple of mistakes because of the situation they're being put in, to go in at the end of the game like this, but to learn from those mistakes.
Kennedy will handle the ball here. Wells coming across. Arbor had the cut down. 3 seconds left. Kennedy gets a good look at it. Just falls off the side, but nice creation on that last possession.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. One of the things I like was Alex Kennedy, after he posted the ball to Alex Wells, he backed up and created that space we've been talking about. Is so important for the players from Newfoundland to do, mm-hmm. to be patient, to do that instead of rushing and try to attack without that space.
So 51-19 as we head into the fourth quarter. Wonder if Newfoundland will get some of their younger athletes into the game.
I'd really love to, it'd be really neat if we get a chance to see Gavin Baggs come in. I think he's the youngest player in the tournament.
Yes, just 11 years old.
And he's a really neat young man. I've had a chance to go out and do camps around the country, and I've gone to Newfoundland a couple of times. And Gavin, even though he's young, he's incredibly feisty. He goes out and scraps all the time, and he's a smart young kid. He gets the concepts, and he's in a unique situation where, like we've talked about, he can learn from this and grow. Yeah. And it'd be neat to see him get a chance to get out there and play some defense. On the other side of the coin, I really hope that what I'd really like to see is Ontario not lose sight of the execution they need to practice. And this is an opportunity to be just a little bit more precise in what you do, be a little bit more demanding of your execution against this team from Newfoundland.
And I think you saw that a little bit earlier when Saskatchewan had an easy win against Manitoba yesterday, and today late in the game against New Brunswick, where they actually needed to get some execution. They struggled down the stretch putting plays together.
Yeah, and it's they'll have these opportunities. They've got some young players coming in now. We see Joanne Lee and Sarah Black come in for Ontario, and they're going to get some on-ball opportunities, and they need to take those because they don't always get those types of opportunities in games to execute on ball on offense.
Here's Pisan Lai. She's down on the baseline, has some space, moving around, puts it up, and makes it. Nice ISO.
Nice job keeping space and movement with the ball, keeping her head up. And then when she took that shot, she had good mechanics and followed through.
Here's Green. Getting to that elbow area to operate. Kennedy looks, has a shot, in and out. Here goes Black. in for her first action of this one. Over to Eric Voss. Looking at the elbow. Nice cut from Sarah Black there, just 2 foot far underneath.
And we saw that motion across the top arc of the key, and if it doesn't have that attack in an opening gap, then it's really ineffective. But Sarah Black saw a gap, and she cut to fill that gap.
Green trying to spin free. There's Alex Wells. Nice cut, just couldn't handle the pass.
Yeah, they're starting to learn. You can see the players from Newfoundland, they're starting to recognize how to keep space and then how to identify the backs of those defenders and get some opportunities to cut. They're letting teammates attack first to open up those gaps. So you can see the beginnings of that development of some offensive skills and understanding the concepts of offense.
There's Voss. Him and Black run into each other. That's Rubizniks.
You can see Alex Wells in the middle of that defense for Newfoundland, having to take on those responsibilities that Nick Powers had earlier.
They forced the miss. Nobody goes to get the rebound, though. And Ontario gets a fresh 14.
Yeah, Alex Wells moving through the middle of that defense for Newfoundland and trying to see the court and read and identify threats, see where he needs to help, see where he needs to stop cutters. So it's a good opportunity for Alex to learn.
You see him head on a swivel as he's reading these. Rubizniks, get it down to 1 second, and a good defensive stand there, forcing the shot clock violation.
Yeah, Ontario, some changing roles out there. They need to communicate through those changing roles so they can, really synchronize how each of them is attacking with their teammates.
Kennedy goes down the right side as Green. She's going to go deep 3, in and out. Wells gets picked off now. So you got a mismatch here for Ontario. Voss rolling down the lane and finds the open. Sarah Black underneath. And Newfoundland will take a timeout here.
Yeah, so Coach Hickey for Newfoundland, he's got some young players out there, so he's going to bring them in, and he's going to teach in this timeout. People, a lot of times we associate timeouts with at the end of the game, you're trying to stop the clock, trying to set up a play, but you also use them to teach. And when you've got a young team like Newfoundland, you actually don't want to waste those timeouts. You want to use them throughout the game so you can continue to teach and create those stoppages in play, make those adjustments, and grow your players. So good opportunity to teach out of this by Coach Hickey.
And you see even on the Ontario side now with those younger players out there, Eric Voss taking a leadership role in this huddle and kind of.
Yeah, I think you can see Eric, from some of his hand motions, he's talking about that motion up high, how they can't just go back and forth, how they have to see how the defenders are rotating, how gaps are opening up for them to attack out of that motion, and that they need to read those gaps.
Newfoundland will get it. 7:20 left in this one. Green, the space kind of opened up in front of her, and she gets cut off by 2 defenders.
Now you can see those little things that they're starting to learn. Alex Kennedy pulled his defender wide, and a gap opened up. Rebecca Green identified the gap. She started to drive towards it. That's good. She's identifying it. It's got to be a little bit more explosive to get through the gap. On the other side of the coin, so Ontario can't get relaxed here.
Yeah.
After Alex Kennedy was stopped, Eric Rubiznik needed to rotate his chair, readjust, and read for the next play, and he was a little bit slow to make that read. Ontario did that really well early on in the game where they were readjusting really quickly.
Rebecca will strap back in.
Yeah, a little side note, Rebecca was an intern at Wheelchair Basketball Canada's National Academy, as Eric Rubiznik is. So they've worked together outside of wheelchair basketball.
Matchup to watch on either side of the ball.
Exchanging a little bit of conversation.
Voss on the outside.
There's that motion. Let's see if they identify the gaps and hit the gaps as they rotate defenders.
Joanne Lee makes the catch on the move. She gets inside, runs into Sarah Black's pick. Green trying to get the steal, but Lee, right hand hook. Nice shot.
Great defense by Newfoundland, though. They stopped all the cutters, and all that was left was that right-handed hook shot. So I think Coach Hickey's pleased with the defense.
Green operating near that elbow. Here comes Kennedy as the late cutter. She'll let it go. In and out.
And that time, Ontario did a better job readjusting and taking away that space and taking away the cuts and picking opportunities for Newfoundland.
And there's the back pick from Lee, and she ends up with a wide open lane to go down. Can't finish.
Yeah, Joanne Lee with a good opportunity, just needs to take a breath.
Voss will shoot off the inbounds and make it.
Yeah, nice and calm, just takes his time. He gets set, he has his balance, he's aligned, falls through to the hoop. There's that gap for Alex Wells. He let the space open up and
just couldn't convert, but worked to perfection. Lee makes the grab, tries to get it over to Lai, but Kennedy's arms were there. Black makes the catch, back to 5 seconds. Rubiznik will put it up, drain it.
Yeah, not the scoring opportunity they were looking for with that player out transition to end up with an outside shot with the shot clock running down.
Green will work, top of the
nice
circle.
Pick by Danielle Arbor.
She gets that look towards the rim, just can't finish. Voss over to Lee. Back to Lai. Kennedy can't quite get it.
And the play is a little bit sloppy by Ontario right now. On the other side, we're seeing Newfoundland. They're starting to show that learning curve. They're starting to demonstrate how they're learning from this game. They're keeping space. Before they were keeping space, making cuts. Now they're starting to keep space and create picks, which are a more complex movement offensively. So they're growing just in this game.
And it's especially nice to see, even with Nick Power fouled out of the game, that they are still working offensively and getting competent sets. Black's shot, no good. Ahmed chased down the board.
Really unusual for Ontario right now. You see 4 Class 1s on the court at one time, and you don't often see teams do that. So you've got a bunch of players that are in somewhat unfamiliar roles on Ontario right now.
And like you mentioned earlier, it is a nice chance for some of those players to get to play a more prominent role than they would usually if they were out on the floor.
Well, they have to do some different things. They have to expand their skills, and that's what players always need to do. You don't want to get caught just doing one or two things. You want to try to make yourself really well-rounded.
And Black hounding Rebecca Green right there, and she forces the turnover.
Yeah, so now the different players from Ontario are going to be put in some slightly different roles. They need to make sure that they communicate a little bit and then just focus a little bit more on this opportunity.
Melnick down to the baseline. Gets it to Lee. She throws that one up. No good.
Yeah, that came out of Poussin Lee's pick up on the elbow. That's what opened up that gap.
Alex Kennedy now working. Again, it's a Green. The elbow, she has Melnick on her. Nice pick there from Stephanie Evans. Pass is short. Up to Poussin Lee. She can't get a handle on it. It'll go the other way.
We get our first glimpse of Gavin Baggs.
He made it. Number 12 in red. And you see him coming right in. He's calling for the ball.
He's calling for the ball. There's his cut, and there it is. There's his basket.
Put him in the game sooner code.
There we go. Making his presence known.
And he's fired up. That's great to see. And they put him right in the middle of the defense as well.
He did a great job. He had space and he recognized he just simply did a facing cut, one of the most fundamental movements, got to the basket and took his time on a shot.
There he goes again. Kennedy on the block, just off. Good pressure in the backcourt here. They get it just over half, and an offensive foul called there. It looks like Ahmed they're going to get for that one. Inside Kennedy, floated over the top, hands on it. Loose ball. Scramble for it. Trap down there. Green in.
I really like how Coach Hickey, you can hear him on the sideline. You can hear him continue to talk about those fundamental things they need to keep doing. He's keeping them focused, keeping them constantly growing, using this opportunity. And you can see his players are really focused and they're listening to him. And they're trying to do those things that he's talking about. And they're increasingly getting better.
And he will use that last time out here as they congratulate Gavin again.
Yeah, they're pumped up right now. That's for sure. And you can see Coach Ludwig also talking, using this timeout as well, trying to teach some of her players who are in different roles on the court right now.
So 1:35 left in this one.
You can see Newfoundland's put Rebecca Green into the middle of the key. She's going to be the anchor on that defense for this last minute and a half.
Black will get it just past the elbow, put it up and score.
There's that short jumper we talked about. Rather than rolling into the defense and taking a contested shot, pull up, slow yourself up, and take an open shot.
Green works down to the block, draws the foul, and she'll get 2 free throws. First free throw is off.
Yeah, so when players are, you saw Rebecca Green kind of fall back from her shot. A player like Rebecca, who's a 4.5, she has leg function. She wants to use that leg function in her shot and almost jump out of her chair. She's strapped in her chair so she won't come out of it, but she wants to use her legs as part of the way she's going to generate power.
Offensive board for Kennedy. He'll get 2. What's your biggest fundamental tip for shooting free throws in the chair? Because it's obviously a much different motion than shooting on the move like you are during the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think what you want to do is you want to have a consistent routine when you shoot free throws. I think players, it's surprising how much players will vary their routine. And it's a free shot. There is no distraction unless you create the distraction. So having that consistent routine helps you maintain your focus.
A player like Alex Kennedy, really nice form on those free throws.
Yeah, he's done a nice job. He's hit a couple of shots today from outside and from the free throw line.
Green gets chipped out by Lai. She'll just give it a rest on the other end of the floor. One final timeout as we wind this one down.
Yeah, Coach Ludwig for Ontario doing the same thing that Coach Hickey's been doing. You can see her really working with her lineup that's on there right now to really explain to them, how they need to keep space and keep their heads up and read the backs of defenders when they're attacking on offense. Correspondingly on defense, making contact, and then adjusting your position to look for those cutters that Newfoundland's starting to take advantage of. Yeah, it looks like Rebecca Green on that last hit she's got a big wow in her wheel, a big warp. They're asking for an equipment right now.
Oh yeah, you can see on the motion of it.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about yesterday, this is a contact sport, and the equipment's going to take a great beating throughout the games, and we're seeing that.
Last 40 seconds here. Kennedy, top of the foul line, no. Didn't make that one, but I think what we've seen today in this game with Nick Power fouling out early, has been Alex Kennedy really took a jump this afternoon.
Yeah, Alex. I liked his composure throughout. He's played really consistently, and he's gotten some good looks at the basket. He's started to create those looks by keeping space, so you can see him growing and improving in this game, and that'll help him as they move on in the tournament.
Arbor working on the outside, trying to find a cutter. Everybody blocked out.
And now you can see the Ontario defense packed in, and the gaps aren't there for Newfoundland. What they'll have to do is actually back up and then have teammates cut in a sort of a staggered way to start moving those Ontario defenders to create a big enough gap to get to the hoop for either a cut or extended defender for a pick. I don't think we're going to see the team from Newfoundland extend that much against this particular Ontario lineup.
Not sure what the violation was down there, but they'll get free throws out of it. Must have been a foul off ball. Danielle gets her moving start there, almost knocks that one down.
Ontario's still trying to run their back pick, and that's good. These young ladies get a chance to be put in some different situations. There's the cut to the basket off the back pick.
Nice dump back off to Sarah Black. The last 10 seconds there. So Ontario will move to 2-0. After a comfortable win here against Newfoundland in the second game of the afternoon.
Yeah, we saw the strength of Ontario with that press up court, and that's something to look for as we move on in the tournament, to continue to see Ontario look to that full court press. On the other side of it, that's what generates some good scoring opportunities for them. But one of the things that they're going to need to do, though, is they're going to need to look at that tape and see where they're creating, what they need to do in the half-court offense to get those opportunities. Newfoundland, some great learning. We saw just in this game them go from running into defenders and not being able to control space to beginning to control space for cuts and even some picks towards the end of the game. So we saw them grow as the game went on.
We'll look forward to both of these teams tomorrow. Up next, we have Manitoba facing Quebec. We'll be back with you in just about a half an hour. Thanks for tuning in. welcome back inside the Gary Harris Center. We are on game number 3 of day 2, the wheelchair basketball tournament here at the Canada Games 2019 in beautiful Red Deer, Alberta. This matchup, we got some programs going at it once again in different situations where Quebec, pretty established power, will take on a young Manitoba team.
Yeah, it's a great example. I'm so impressed with what Coach Jaworski from Manitoba has been able to do. A year out of last Canada Games, they didn't have a program at all, and so over the last 5 years, he's gone out, he's identified athletes, he's recruited athletes, and he's developed a team now, and a really young team. This, I believe, every single player is young enough to return for the next Canada Games. So this is about getting experience. It's about taking the things that they've been working on, growing them, using them in game situations. For Quebec, it's about refining some of the things. We saw their up-court pressure yesterday is really strong, really effective. It's going to be about refining some of their half-court things.
We will see here how each team adapts. Maybe the best jersey matchup so far. Some bright yellow and royal blue.
Easily the most interesting jersey colors.
Tip will be won by Manitoba, and Josh Brown, who was their best player yesterday, will bring it forward. And a quick attack there from Josh. Drives into the lane, draws a quick foul.
Yeah, Josh seeing the gap in the defense, seeing this space open up, putting the ball to the floor and attacking the back of the defender.
And that goes on Ben Palmer, so the Quebec leader picks up his first foul 8 seconds in. Rosello gets himself back up. Number 5 down low for Manitoba. Here's number 13, Ryan Bolesky. Ends up losing it out of bounds.
Here we're seeing Quebec's back pick again.
And Colin Lalonde, after that back pick, rolls right to the rim, can't get the finish. And Lalonde really was the tone setter for them yesterday in that gritty battle against New Brunswick.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting to watch Colin Lalonde as the tournament goes on and see as he grows into this new role, more of a leader and starts to assert himself.